Welcome to Keto Meals and Recipes.com. It's now July, and July and August are the peak seasons for regionally grown fresh asparagus and other vegetables as well. And because the asparagus are at their peak flavor and least expensive at this time of year, I'm going to show you how to make my creamy asparagus soup. I realized that I don't show many vegetable soups, but thought it would be good to demonstrate how to make this super easy soup. And also because vegetables are a great way to add nutrient-rich vegetables into a healthy, whole food, well-balanced, and nutrient-dense keto, low-carb, and Banting diet. I'd also like to point out that this asparagus soup recipe is my own. I do want to thank Chef John for all the good cooking tips and techniques which I have incorporated into my methodology in this video. To thank Chef John, I will be posting a link to the Food Wishes Cream of Asparagus Soup link in the description below. Now for my recipe. The macronutrient ratio for this cream of asparagus soup is 2.5 to 1, with 6.9 grams of total carbs, 3.5 grams of dietary fiber, resulting in 3.4 grams of net carbs per serving. If you're familiar with my videos, I always begin every recipe by prepping all of my ingredients before commencing the cooking process. So the first thing I'm going to do is to chop my onion into very small pieces. Dicing into small pieces will cook your onion more quickly, and also cooking brings out the sweetness from the onion. Then trim the asparagus by removing the whiter and woodier part of each spear stem. You do this because the whiter parts are very pulpy and fibrous and hard to eat, so I always cut them off before cooking. And to not waste too much of your asparagus, cut just above the white area where you notice the color changing. And then also cut the length of the asparagus into 1/2 inch or 1 1/4 centimeter pieces. Put them in a bowl and set it aside. This is all the vegetable prep you need to do. And here are all my ingredients for the soup. Now set a stock pot over medium-low heat, and to it add your avocado oil, or you can substitute with an oil of your choice. Heat the oil up until it's sizzling, and then toss in your chopped onions. Cook your onions until the onions are translucent and just starting to get a little bit golden colored. Cooking your onions to light golden will bring out the natural sweetness from each onion, as I've stated before, and will also get rid of that acrid raw onion taste. It's also important to cook the onions to the golden stage because the asparagus cook more quickly. And if you don't pre-cook your onions to this stage, the onions will have a raw taste when you puree the soup. Now pour in your chicken stock or vegetable stock and also add your water. Give this a quick stir, then increase your heat to medium and bring the liquid to a boil. When the liquid's boiling, toss in the asparagus and cook for about 5 to 8 minutes or until the asparagus are at the al dente stage. A good way to test for doneness, as Chef John explains, is to press a piece of asparagus against the side of the pot. And if you can mash the piece slightly, but the piece does not fall apart completely, the asparagus is done perfectly. And you especially want to be careful not to overcook, and overcooking destroys many of the good nutrients found in asparagus. Now add the salt, pepper, paprika, and freshly ground nutmeg. I always find that the freshly ground nutmeg has a much better taste and is more aromatic. But if you don't have it, just use the powder. It'll still be good. And stir these seasonings into your broth. At this point, I also pour the heavy cream into the pot and stir while cooking for 1 or 2 more minutes. This will cook out the raw taste of the cream. Before finishing your soup, it's always a good idea to taste for saltiness, and if you are happy with the taste, turn off the heat. Now the last step is to puree the soup. You can do this in several ways. You can use an immersion blender and puree until everything is very smooth and velvety. Alternatively, ladle the soup into a blender, but only to the 1/3 volume indicator of your blender. By the way, I also loosen either the lid or the knob on top. This will allow the steam to escape without blowing off the lid. I also place an oven mitt or a dish towel on top just to gently hold the lid in place. Then puree until the soup is very velvety and creamy. Pour the pureed content into a clean bowl. Repeat this step until all the soup has been pureed. Just for your reference, it takes me about 2 minutes per batch to puree to the texture that I'm looking for in this soup. While I continue pureeing, I would like to mention that you can store this soup in an airtight container such as a mason jar or a bowl covered with cling wrap and keep it in your refrigerator for 5 to 7 days. It of course depends how many people you're feeding. We like to enjoy the soup to complement whatever entree we're serving that evening, so it is a good idea to make a full batch. One last thing I'd like to mention. Because the soup is not reduced by boiling it, I thicken my soup by sprinkling the glucomannan powder on top of the pureed soup and then immediately stir or whisk until the glucomannan is completely incorporated. And then I just continue stirring for about 30 or 60 seconds to ensure that everything is well incorporated, which will give me the smoothest, creamiest results. And here we are, the soup is all done. After your soup has been in the fridge for a few days, if you do find that it's become too thick, all you have to do to thin it out is add a little bit more water, stir it well, and either serve it cold or heat it up. I just had a wee taste, and I can tell you that this soup tastes as good as it looks. It has a fresh, clean, light taste of asparagus. The asparagus taste is not overwhelming, it's just very soothing. Let the soup rest for about 5 minutes, and then when you're ready to serve, ladle the soup into your bowl. This is absolutely not necessary, but as you know, I like to garnish and present my food as nicely as possible, even if it's just my husband and me. So I'm going to garnish with 3 sautéed asparagus spears. The quantity I've indicated as a serving is exactly how much you'll need even for an adult male. This cream of asparagus soup is very filling, so it can be served for lunch with one of my bun recipes, such as my easy keto buns and rolls, or my hamburger bun recipe. Just slather on a nice dollop of butter and enjoy. Or if I'm making this soup as a side dish for my dinner, I will make something simple like my oven roasted chicken thighs, which I coat with my North African barbecue sauce. The asparagus soup paired with the North African barbecued chicken thighs are perfect together. But you can serve this soup with almost any meat. I hope that you do make this recipe very soon, and most of all, I hope that you enjoy it. And one last favor, please leave a comment. I really love corresponding with you. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope to see you next time. The link for the printable cream of asparagus soup, as well as the link for all the other recipes suggested in this video, will be posted in the YouTube description below.